is. All right. So today on the First Time Storytelling broadcast, my guest is Robert Belle. Robert is a transformational speaker, author, and ACCA accountant. He is on a global mission to help individuals who feel inferior and have given up on their dreams to think freely, create unapologetically, that's a tough word right there, and live abundantly. Robert is here to share the story of his first time he bought a brand new car. All right, Robert, welcome to the First Time Storytelling broadcast.
Thank you so much for having me. Hi to everybody who's watching us live on Facebook. I'm excited to share with you my first time story.
All right, so let's get into this. How old were you? Where were you? What was the car and why that car? So get us into the story of what this car meant to you and getting it brand new.
Wow. The first question is a difficult one. How old was I? I know the year. I can never forget the year. I generally don't track my age with milestones. I don't know why. I just never done it because I keep forgetting my age. I think that's why. So I know the year was 2003. I hope you guys can cast your mind back to how life was in 2003. Email wasn't really a thing. Maybe AOL mail was just picking up. Why this car? I'll get into that as we get into the story. So I just started a few years working. Um, I started my corporate life. I was a junior accountant, and I really had no aspirations of buying a car. I'll be honest with you.
Where
I
where were
had
you
none.
living at the time?
I was living in an island called Antigua, Antigua and Barbuda.
Okay.
It's a twin island state. And yeah, so it's not a big place. I didn't really need a car. Yeah, where I lived and where I worked was one bus ride, probably 10 minutes and maybe a 10-minute walk. Absolutely no need for a car. I was young, you know, no family. But I set it as a challenge. Perhaps if I can tell you, and how I got that job. And I think that's what spurred me to buy the car. So if you guys can remember how it was getting a job in those days, you would send an application by the post. You would take like 6 months to get a response. Wow, I can't believe we used to live like that. There was just technology was picking up, and I got tired. I got tired of applying for jobs, waiting for 6 months because that's just ridiculous. So I started. If you've ever watched the movie Pursuit of Happiness with
Mhm.
Will Smith, he goes through the directory and he decides, I can't call, I'm not going to follow the pecking order. I'm going straight to the top and call the CEO. So I did that. I actually took the directory and I started calling companies, just cold calling. Hey, do you have a vacancy in finance? I have these qualifications. So I would pitch myself on the phone. I didn't have time to write, get scheduled for an interview. No. Of course, it went very bad most of the times. So I decided to jump for a big company and I said, you know what, I'm going to call this company. Long story short, of course, the gatekeepers, the switchboard operator will not put me through to the boss, not whatsoever. And the company I was applying to work at is a car dealership. So they actually do sell cars. That's their primary business. That's their core business. So I decided, you know what? I don't know where I learned this. I'm going to befriend this switchboard operator because I can imagine how stressful that work is. So I would schedule to call her almost every day at a particular time just to say, hey, how are you doing? So how was your day today? And we'll talk, and it wasn't probably good for the company because you're holding up the lines. But she just needed a human, someone to just say, hey, how are you doing? Because every minute, hi, okay, hold on, connect you. If you guys can remember those days, if you're old enough and you're working at that time. So I befriended her and I just slowly but surely started learning the times when the boss will be in, who's the boss, what's his name. And I started building my pitch. So one day I called and she sensed it. I don't know how she sensed it. And this lady's elderly. She could be like my mother. So she sensed it. She's like, today's the day. Because I told her I'm calling to get a job. She's like, today's the day, right? I was like, yeah, today's the day. She said, are you ready? I said, yeah. Before I could say, oh, yeah, I'm ready, she put me through to the boss. I froze. I was like, okay. He answered. And I don't know why bosses tend to have this deep voice. "Yeah, hello. And I was like, that put me back a bit. So I said, my name is Robert and, I'm a finance person and I'm looking for a vacancy and I'm your new hire. I actually didn't ask him if there's a vacancy. I told him your new hire, I'm the new person you're hiring. There was an awkward silence in the phone. Then he said, how did you know we're hiring? I had no idea. Even the switchboard operator hadn't told me because someone had just resigned, but it wasn't public information. So he was serving out his last days. And, I just pitched to him and I said, look, technology is coming and I can help computerize your accounting systems. Because back then, like everyone was still keeping
How did you
ledger.
answer his question? Were you like, oh, I just knew, like, or you just skipped
I
answering the
can't
question, or you just
remember.
remember? Okay.
I can't remember. I don't think I answered it. I just
You
swore to
went to your
myself.
pitch.
Yeah, because I told him, whether or not you have a vacancy, what I remember telling him is that a vacancy is not your problem, is being more efficient, and you need
Yeah.
someone who can help you computerize. It also turns out that he was also on the market looking for an ERP system, right? So there's just a lot of, so after like a few minutes, yeah.
No, go ahead.
So after like a few minutes, he tells me, hold on. Then he comes back on the call. Then there's someone else on the line, a conference. And the person on the line is the head of the department. And he says, hey, for example, Anne, I have, what's your name again? I said, Robert. I have Robert on the line. He's going to be joining us in finance. Set up a time for him to come on board and get his details. She didn't even know, like he had made a decision and I got the job. That's not my story though, but I needed to give you that context.
So yeah, a little framing, a little
I need to give
background.
you that context.
Yeah.
I needed to give you that context because it's part of the message of my story.
Yeah. So
Where
how did you feel? Were you like awestruck? Like this just happened? Like did you
I was
call
like,
the operator
the switchboard
back to
operator.
tell her? Yeah.
I didn't call. I went personally, and she should just sense. She could just sense when I showed up that day. Yeah, he got it. I mean, she had no doubt in her mind, and I didn't feel starstruck. I was like, all right, okay, so that was easy. Why didn't I listen to myself? Because I was like, yes, I'm happy I trusted myself. Yes, I'm happy I trusted myself. I felt relaxed. I felt confident. Not really cocky, but just like, yeah, I know that's me, and I can't follow what everyone tells me. Because every time I told people I'm trying this, they were like, that's ridiculous. It doesn't happen. So yeah, so I got into the job. I started really revamping and getting a lot of mileage with the boss. Especially, I became his confidant. He would give me a lot of additional tasks. He had other businesses, so he'd get me involved in other businesses, young, ready to take on work. And I would be the point person when someone will come to buy a car. So I would take the cash, I would do everything, and I just saw the smiles on people's faces. Like, I want that too. Like, I didn't need a car, but I was just like, that's the next challenge. So I went to him. I said, hey, boss, I'm ready to buy a car. He laughed at me. At least we had a good, we're good. We had a good relationship. So he just laughed at me, and that gave me the energy and the fuel to take this challenge up. I was like, okay, all right, this is another challenge. So I tried it. I went to some senior people in the company. Hey, I'm interested in buying a car. What do you advise? Start probably with a second-hand car, something you can afford, get going. So I tried that, but it was very frustrating. It was very frustrating. I'm a young person in the company and I didn't understand the politics and the psychology of, generation differences. So it was just a lot of people, a lot of employees were frustrating me in the process. I would book a car. I would say, look, I want this second-hand car. I'm ready to make the deposit, and they'll sell it to someone else, and just bullying me. And I was just like, no, all right, I'm going to go for a brand new one where no one has booked. And so I took up the challenge. I identified it, but I couldn't afford it. I really couldn't afford it. Luckily, my boss had shares in a financing company. So I used to sit with the guys in that company and ask them, so what do you look at when you're going to finance someone? Your salary needs to be this amount, this percentage of your payment. So I learned it. I started doing my forecasting, started planning for it. But the numbers just didn't add up. I couldn't afford it. And I didn't want to stretch myself. Like I didn't need it. So I reversed engineered and I said, what price does the car have to be at for me to afford it? So I'm going to get a car that I can afford. And I said, all right, I found a figure. And that figure was like a significant difference from the retail price. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to ask the boss. So I started asking some of my friends, my colleagues, my coworkers, what's the maximum discount we can get as staff? They were like, discount? Young boy, get out of here with you. They were like, no, like the boss doesn't give discounts. I was like, oh, that's strange. Why not? Why not? Well, I don't know. We've never asked him. I was like, excuse me? So how do you know he doesn't give discounts if you never asked? It's like, just no one has the courage to ask. I was like, so then just go and ask. that they were like, and he has an open door policy, but people just felt intimidated. So I was like, okay, I made a plan. I was gonna go and ask him. So every time I'll go to see him and say, look, anytime he sees me trying to start the conversation of me buying a car, he just changes his subject, right? And I got really frustrated with that. He would send me out of his office, not in a bad way. We had a good relationship. So one day I decided, today's the day, just like I did when I got the job. And that's why I wanted to give the context. I had that feeling. I trusted my gut. I went into his office. I locked the door. I went, I sat down. Before I started speaking, his phone rang, his extension rang. I went around his desk, plugged out the extension. And he's like, what are you doing? He's like, I need your full, undivided attention. I have something important to talk to you about. So he thought it was something, money related. And when as soon as I started the conversation about the car, he's like, what nonsense is this? I'm going to fire you. It didn't scare me. I pitched my case and I said, listen, I've been your star employee for a few months here. You've seen the changes I've done. You've publicly said in front of others that I'm one of your good employees, young and promising. Now, our competitor was having a special on their cars. And I said, how would it look like if I show up Monday morning driving our direct competitor's car because they were able to give me a better offer? I don't think it's going to look good for your brand, for employee morale. So we need to sort this issue and sort it now. That's what I told him. So we had conversation back and forth. And so he sat back in his chair, fiddling his pen. And he just started laughing at me. He just a smirk on his face. And then this is his signature. Everyone knows this. When he clicks the pen, he's ready to sign. So he told me, just bring me the documents. And I had them behind my back. So I said, I already have them here. Wait, who gave you permission to drop the documents already? Aren't you a confident little guy? I was like, well, I'm not confident. I just know what my strengths are. Gave him the documents. But I didn't tell him that it was heavily discounted. He looked at it, he was like, are you crazy? Now I know you're absolutely crazy and I'm definitely going to fire you. I've never sold a car like this to anyone. What makes you think you're going to be the first one? I told him, well, okay, it doesn't really concern me if you've never sold it. Well, but I just know this is what I need. And I continued pitching. I can't remember what I said. He signed it. And he said, now get out of my office. At that time, people were knocking on the door because they know whenever the door is locked, it's a very important meeting. And they couldn't see anyone. They asked, did anyone see anyone important go in? No one could answer. So they were like knocking, hey, boss, open the door. So he said, get out of my office. I said, but there's one more thing. I need free insurance and free fuel. He's like, you're pushing it now. I was like, well, I got to try. He signed it off. He said, get out. But just before I left, he said, you know what he told me? Do you know why I'm doing this? Because I've been here 25 years and no one has ever asked me for a discount. And I hear the murmurs, I hear the grumbling and complaining of the staff, but you are the first person in 25 years to actually come and ask. So I'm doing it to teach everyone else a lesson. And that's just how I got the car.
Wow. So, I mean, that's a fascinating story. And I just to kind of dig a little bit more into it, because you really, you didn't need the car. So, you put yourself out there with the possibility of potentially getting fired, or because it's not like, well, the worst, or were you thinking the worst I'm going to hear is no, he's not going to
No.
fire me over this? Like, this is not a firing offense. Like, I've proven myself enough. The worst that can happen is he's going to say no. Is that what you were thinking? Like,
Yeah,
you had nothing to lose to ask, but not just ask, because you're really pushing it. You weren't just asking, you're like pushing it.
Yeah, one, definitely on the base level, I had nothing to lose because I didn't need it. So if he says no, it's fine. I didn't need it. What I could do, I had plans of trying to push him to give me a raise, but that would just signal so many red flags. Why is he getting a raise so quickly? And I found this to be the part that would have
Okay.
less ripple effect. And then two, I was really sure about the work that I was doing. I knew I was putting in more than a fair day's work. I knew I was going above and beyond. We did a lot of, I don't have time right now, but if I tell you some of the things and the changes we made, they were very, remarkable. So I help him recover a lot of bad debt. I called people, I pestered,
So you've been
I
making him money. You've been
I've been
saving him,
making him
making
money.
him money. Like you've earned whatever discount you were asking for, you had earned that for him, a few
It was a
times over.
small percentage to pay for
Yeah.
the revenue that I brought in
Okay.
into it. As a matter of fact, I'm one of the first accounting persons to also get commission. So I started selling cars because I realized a lot of when the customers would come to me to pay for a car, sometimes the sales people aren't around. So I would, take them through and say, okay, this is your car, expect it like this, etc, etc. So I took on a bit of sales role, and that's been the story of my life, moving out of my comfort zone and my shell. So I'd proven myself. So those are the two big reasons why I just didn't feel like retreating. And
Okay.
maybe I was also young and dumb and didn't understand what real consequences were.
He's like, well, now looking back. So how did it feel? Like, so did you get to just walk out and the car was already there, or how did it feel to get the car and to drive it for the first time? And was it like what you had imagined in your head? Did it live up to what you wanted?
Yeah, I instructed the staff to prepare the car for me even before I went to the boss. I just told them, today's the day. Like everyone knew, like everyone could just. It was like, yeah, you actually, like everyone could see I was very serious about this. I told them to prepare it, to secure it. I even instructed them to hide it a particular part of the warehouse so the other salespeople couldn't get it, and sell it accidentally. So yeah, when I got it, I drove it out. I drove
What
it
kind of car
out.
was it?
I mean, it had that new car scent. The plastics were still on the seat, and I
But
drove it
what
out when
kind? What
everyone
kind
was
of car
leaving.
was it? What?
It was a Nissan Almera. Yeah, Nissan Almera. And I drove it out when everyone was leaving work, just to show them, I did it. I did it, and it felt. I remember when I got home. I mean, this is the same car my mom was driving, so it was a bit awkward. She's worked for years, probably longer than I've been alive at that time, and I'm driving the same car with her. And just when she really realized, wow, he's really a go-getter. I mean, okay, at first she didn't believe it. She thought I probably stole it or something. That's what she was thinking. Like I took it from work without permission because she just didn't imagine. She couldn't understand. I mean, that yeah, I've paid for it. Later down the line, about 2, 3 years later, I sold it for a good profit, flipped it, and used it to finance some studies, some further education. So 'cause he pushed me. My boss actually pushed me. I said, look, you're very smart. You need to just keep going. Don't settle for this. You could he told me I could make a lot of money where I am now, but that there's just so much more I could do in life. And I so grateful to him for that.
Oh, well, that is awesome. That is such an incredible story, and so and it's great that there was no regrets to getting it, and it ended up being a stepping stone towards something else. And I can see
Mm.
where that's a significant first time story in your life, because it it exposed you to who you're meant to be, and what was in store for you, and let everybody else know. So did others try to do what you did afterwards, or did everybody else like, we're just too scared, that's you, Robert, but that's not us?
Yeah, I was waiting for this question. Obviously, people tried it at first, and they were stonewalled very badly, which didn't work out too well for me because now I sort of became like the enemy. I know later on he now actually made it a policy to have discount because yeah, staff came together and we said, look, yeah, they made their pitch and I helped them to craft the pitch, so yeah, it's worked out. But at first, no, it did not work out for a lot of people.
Yes. Now yeah. Oh, well. So you stayed there how long after that? A few more years, you said?
Yeah, maybe two years.
Yeah.
Yeah, 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 two
And then
years.
your
So
your
I
boss, the one who told you to dream
yeah,
bigger, go do bigger things.
yeah, he did. That's where I bought I bought my first laptop. It was a Dell. It was so heavy. I would have back pain. Laptops then were, So I went. He told me, look, buy a laptop. He introduced me to correspondence learning. So he told me, just register and you can start studying. They'll send you the material on tape. Yeah, cassettes, those cassettes those days. So yeah, he really pushed me to start learning a lot. and he pushed me to keep going and keep going. So he told me, buy the laptop. He went online, he would sit down and show me how to purchase a laptop, etc, what kind of courses, and told me just keep, advancing yourself.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Shoot. Back then, laptops were almost as expensive as a car.
Yes, then it was. I think I bought it for almost $4,000. It was
Yeah.
ridiculous. I still can't believe I bought a laptop for 4,000, but yeah, I mean, it was, yeah.
Oh, well, thank you for sharing that. What a great story. All right. Well, before we start playing the first time lightning round, how can people get in touch with you?
All right. So on social media, you can get me on my website, www.robertabell.com. I'm on Facebook. We're streaming live on Facebook, Robert_A_Bell. And you can use that across all of the social media, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter. Yeah, one or two variants of it, but there's definitely Robert A. Bell with an underscore. So that's how people can get in touch with me.
All right. Well, I invite everyone to look up Robert and learn more about the services and different things that he offers. As obviously, he applies everything that he's learned in his background into the work that he does. All right. So let's switch over and let's play the first time lightning round. All right. And there's one of them that I'm going to touch on. We'll talk about it when I get to it. But all right. So the way it works is I'm going to ask Robert 10 different first time options. If it's something that he's done before, he's going to say up or swipe. He would swipe up if he was on the app. And if it's something that he's never done, not interested, we go left. Never done, would like to do, we go right. All righty.
All right.
All right. Go to a petting zoo.
Petting zoo. Right.
Right. Never done it, but would do it. Okay.
Yeah, would.
Take a drawing class.
Right. I've never done
Right.
it, surprisingly, but definitely would.
Definitely. All right. Drive a Ferrari.
Double right. Double right.
Definitely adding that to the list. Okay. Sculpt. Sculpt anything.
No, never. Definitely right.
Definitely right. Okay. Dance the waltz.
Left.
Oh, really? Is it the waltz or just not a dancer?
The waltz.
The waltz. Okay. Donate clothes.
Swipe up.
Swipe up. Done that. So this is the one where now I know your answer based on what you told me, but so when I make the list for people, so I have the master list that I go, and sometimes there's something that really jumps out at me and I'll add it to the list even though it's not something that I usually add. So for you, the one that had jumped out was take an online class.
Yeah, from years ago.
Yeah, so
Swipe
that's
up.
definitely an up. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the first class that you remember taking through your brand new 25-pound laptop?
Wow. Whoa, I don't remember.
I don't
I don't
remember.
remember. No.
Yeah. Okay. Is there one that you do remember that like really was significant and you really enjoyed?
Sociology.
Hmm.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that one.
What was it about sociology that kind of moved you and
Just the thinking and seeing how thoughts have developed and different thinking styles, if you want to call it that, or governance styles. That was interesting. Looking at the merits and demerits. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I have to say, as a psychology major, when I get into sociology classes, it definitely like, oh, this is very fascinating and interesting. Similar field, yet different, but so much information to be gained from that and knowledge and understanding of human behavior and cultural behaviors. Yeah. All right. Jump rope.
Up.
Oh, done that before.
Yeah.
Remember your first experience with jumping rope?
Not the first, but so many since when we used to do it in school.
Yeah. Okay. Eat Polish food or Polish cuisine.
what is classified as Polish cuisine?
Like pierogies. No.
Definitely are right. I'm definitely a foodie. I don't want to say a foodie. I don't want foodies hitting back at me. I love food. Yeah, I'll try different cuisines. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. So you're open to exploring different cuisine. Final one is play chess.
Wow. I don't want to say up because I sucked, and that's something I still trying to do. So, like up and right, a bit, up falling down to the right.
Fun out there. So technically have sat in front of a chessboard and have made an attempt at learning and doing it. Okay.
Yeah, I've actually played, but I just wasn't good. Yeah.
Uh, well, I mean, it's you've done it, and you can always get better. Keep trying. Okay. Final question is: how have you been making the best out of the current situation with the pandemic?
Yeah. That's a great question. And it's something I've been sharing with a lot of my friends and everyone, that I've actually been making a good time of it. And it's serenity, just accepting the things that I can't change and just knowing the things that I can change, and just the wisdom, to know the difference, just to act. So I'm making the best of it by just daily doing something. I'm not wasting time sitting down, looking at the bad side of it. I'm just the half full, half glass, half full sort of
Hmm.
guy. And it's also because of circumstances. So I launched my first book this year. So
Oh yeah!
I'm making the best of it.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm making the best of it because I was supposed to do like tours, speaking engagements. So I'm doing a lot of podcast interviews. So that's how I'm making the best of it. Just staying as close as possible to my plans, or let me not say plans, but just staying on target as much
Yeah.
as possible. Like I share with people that, listen, when you trust the process, when you're focused, things may not go according to plan, but they will go according to purpose, right? So I had planned to do a lot of stuff with the book, but it doesn't mean that the purpose is gone. So the purpose is to get the message out. So I'm just trying to, just modify and pivot around it. So that's what I'm doing, and enjoying the upsides of it. For example, having my children at home a lot, we're enjoying a lot of time. Like my eldest daughter told me, is it like 2 or 3 days ago, like, Daddy, I really like spending time with you. And I was like,
Yeah.
right, that's so that's just how I'm making the best of it. Like, just enjoying the positives and trying to minimize the negatives. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I think for children, there's going to be a mixture of how they remember that. But if their parents were significantly more in their lives, that's what they're going to remember, and they might not actually like when things go back um, to the way they were before. And hopefully, for most people, they don't fully go back to whatever it was before, and spending quality time with family. You know, remains a high priority just because you were forced into it. Now it's something like, wow, it's significant, and it makes such a difference in our lives to have that ability to be that close to each other. That's wonderful. Tell us, we got a little bit of time. Tell us a little bit more about your book. What is it about?
Okay. Yeah. Great. It's called Blow the Lid Off. Reclaim your stolen creativity, increase your income, and let your light shine. The premise of the book is to demystify um, this association of creativity with art, with music or some sort of artistic expression, and to reveal to us that we all have this innate creative ability, but we lose it as we go through life. Actually, I say it gets stolen from us, um, and I'm on a quest to help people to get that back, because when we get that back, we get our true identity, we get knowledge of our purpose, clarity of our vision, and revelation of our value. It's just like the first time experience I was talking about. Like, I had to use my creative abilities to figure out, all right, this is something novel. It's definitely useful. I mean, at least to me on a personal level. And it's trusting our gut, trusting our instincts, and not just not giving up on our dreams. And if I gave up on my dream, I wouldn't have had this first time story to talk about. So it's that's what the book is about. That, listen, creativity is not just about singing on a mic or painting a picture. It's so much more to life. It helps us to live abundantly. So that's what the book is about, and it's targeted to busy professionals, busy and unsatisfied professionals. You've followed the rule of life: go to school, get a good job. You've gotten a good job, you're getting a good paying salary, but there's just this unsatisfied part of you. Like, it's just not fulfilling everything. So that's the gap that creativity has left in all of us, and we need to give it its rightful place. Plus,
Yeah.
I call it blow the lid off because it's a conspiracy. It's a conspiracy when we say, oh, I'm creative or I'm not creative. Nonsense. We're all creative.
Yeah, no, I fully, yeah. So I had read a little bit about the book, and
Mm.
I, one of the big benefits of doing the 365 first challenge, exposing yourself to novelty, to new things, is that it does increase your creativity. And no, it doesn't have to be art based in order to do that. So, creative problem solving, creative engagement with life, and just viewing how things are. It's just it's a change in mindset, in possibilities, and it is moving away from understanding creativity in just a linear artistic way, although adding those to your life also help. But it is, the more you expose yourself to things, the more you become open-minded and creative, because you can, like, the mind is such a beautiful thing, and how it's going to make connections that until you had all that information, it was not able to connect the dots. And you will connect your dots in your own unique way, because you have your own unique way of seeing the world once you step out of, the 9 to 5 and the typical and what's being expected of you, and that you choose to grow and to thrive into exploring and discovering everything that life has to offer. And so I definitely love your message and what you're out to do and accomplish, because our life is for living, and it's meant to be enjoyed. Like, your heart should sing, maybe not every day, not every second of every day, but generally speaking, your heart should sing for what life has to offer and what is available to you. So I support everyone who's out to spread that message and assist others in doing that.
Great.
All
Thank you so
right.
much. It's yeah, that's great support, and thank you, and just acknowledging you for doing this and helping people to realize, look, there was growth that happened. There's growth that happens inside of us when we do like these first time challenges. When we do something for the first time, on you know on it reveals something within us that we didn't know, that it was just hidden. And that's what creativity is. It's a diamond, it's a light inside of us, and it doesn't need to be switched on or off. It's always on. The problem is that we dim the light. We dim it by blocking it with achievements and accolades and labels and professions and etc. So if we just give it space, the beauty, as you said, you live, just abundant, thriving life. It's so beautiful. For me, the best part is the peace, because you're not carrying any burden of expectation. You're carrying inspiration and aspiration. So you're inspired to do something, and you're aspiring to do it. So you dismantle this expectation. You have to do this, you got to do that, you have to have a job by this age, you got to have a degree. You just remove all that nonsense. So, like, I need to be me fully.
Yeah. Yeah. And the pandemic has shifted things for the time being, but a lot of things haven't stopped, as far as machine learning and AI, and the jobs that are going to go away, and the things that are inherently human, that require creativity for us to continue to evolve, for us to continue to grow as a society, and as well as humans, like on this planet and then beyond. Like, it's just like, let your mind just not be limited by anything. Let it soar, let it just take off.
Blow the lid
And
off.
exactly, blow the lid off. Perfect. Spot on. All right. Well, Robert,
Yeah.
thank you for spending this time with us this Monday morning. I really appreciate it. And it was a great, wonderful story.
Thank you so much, and I hope people enjoy the story. And I still don't believe it actually happened. I sit down just wondering, like, I did that. It's a long time ago, but for me, it's one of the most memorable. I have so many others. Yeah, so many others.
Awesome. All right. Well, enjoy the rest of your week.
All right, you too.